The mysterious death of Edgar Allan Poe has baffled literary scholars, historians, and readers for more than a century. Found delirious on a Baltimore street on October 3, 1849, wearing someone else's clothes and reportedly uttering incoherent sentences, Poe was taken to a nearby hospital, where he died 4 days later. His last words, whispered as his life ebbed away, were, "Lord, help my poor soul." But even now, the question remains, what really killed Edgar Allan Poe? Was it the result of murder, or was his death the product of the madness that haunted him throughout his life? To understand Poe's mental state in his final days, we must first consider the labyrinth of his psyche, which was dark, haunted, and deeply introspective. The author of such works as The Raven, The Telltale Heart, and The Fall of the House of Usher knew anguish intimately. Throughout his life, Poe suffered traumatic losses: his parents, his beloved wife Virginia, and several close friends, all claimed by illness or tragic circumstances. Scholars argue that these repeated losses drove Poe to the brink of madness, leaving him susceptible to melancholy, bouts of depression, and an apparent struggle with alcoholism. Some historians suggest that Poe may have suffered from a form of clinical mental illness, such as bipolar disorder or major depression. These conditions, if left untreated, can lead to episodes of psychosis, which may explain the disoriented state in which he was found. The harsh, cold streets of Baltimore would have been unforgiving for a man lost in his own mind, tortured by memories and haunted by specters of his own creation. However, there are those who believe that Poe's death was not a freak accident, but rather a calculated act of murder in Baltimore. In the 19th century, a corrupt practice known as cooping was common during elections. Politicians would hire gangs to kidnap innocent bystanders, often drugging them or forcing them to drink, and then parade them around polling places to vote repeatedly for a specific candidate. Poe was found during election season, and some reports suggest that he was dressed in disheveled and oversized clothing, a telltale sign of a coup victim, stripped of his identity and manipulated to serve someone else's agenda. Proponents of this theory believe that Poe was likely forced to consume alcohol or laudanum, a strong opiate, substances that would have disoriented and weakened even a man of robust constitution. Although Poe's history with alcohol is often exaggerated, eyewitnesses noted that even small amounts could leave him extremely intoxicated, possibly due to a genetic predisposition or underlying health condition. This cooping theory paints Poe not as a madman, but as an unfortunate victim of a cruel electoral racket, tragically left for dead after his forced service. There are other theories that Poe's death may have been caused by health complications. Rabies, a common but poorly understood disease of the time, has been proposed as a potential cause. In 1996, a doctor examined Poe's symptoms and concluded that they were consistent with rabies: erratic behavior, confusion, and even hydrophobia, a symptom in which the patient becomes afraid of water. Poe was known to suffer from intermittent health crises and may have been bitten by a stray animal or unknowingly infected. Another theory is that Poe succumbed to cholera, which was sweeping cities and leaving countless dead. Others argue that he may have suffered from a brain tumor, a condition that would explain his sudden cognitive decline. The hot, feverish illness, hallucinations, and incoherence seen in his final days may suggest a number of undiagnosed illnesses that plagued 19th century society, leaving Poe vulnerable in his final hours. Each theory holds a key to unlocking the enigma of Poe's death, but no single explanation is entirely satisfactory. Poe's life and death remain shrouded in ambiguity, like the plot of one of his own stories. Was he simply the victim of his own tortured mind, a victim of untreated madness driven by deep despair and grief? Or was his death the result of something darker, a deliberate act of violence in an age of corruption and disorder? The true cause of Poe's death may never be known. It remains as elusive and haunting as the spectral ravens and sinister shadows he wove into his tales. The ambiguity surrounding his death preserves his legend, casting him forever as the dark and tragic poet, a figure shrouded in mystery whose life and death remain as inscrutable as his most compelling works.